I've been holding off on this one over the weekend, just to familiarize myself with him, and honestly, just because I've been having so much fun playing with him. This is ToyWorld's GRIMSHELL. Their Grimlock. Obviously, he originally was named Corlock, and I feel like Corlock may have been a slightly better name than GRIMSHELL, but you know, whatever. He's their version of Grimlock and their ToyWorld Dinobot combiner line. Although the combiner aspect is not necessary if you just want to enjoy them as Dinobots. I think they're all great individually as figures. Before we get into the figure itself, I want to talk a little bit about the elephant in the room, and that is his box. Now, you can see there's just the feet of Grimlock. This box is huge. You can see there's GRIMSHELL over there. He does come with all the combiner parts, and he comes in that standard ToyWorld packaging they've been doing with some of their figures lately, where it comes in the box with the styrofoam insert. But this box is very large and very thick. It's not like a Fort Max size box. You're not getting something quite that big, but it is kind of an overlarge box. I feel like they maybe have been able to package him a little more efficiently, I guess, because like I said, it does have the big ToyWorld styrofoam insert inside there. Yeah, like I said, getting it all on screen is very difficult. But just if you order him, expect a large package from your mailman, because with the packing and then the packing around the box to keep it safe during shipment, he's pretty. The box itself is pretty big. The figure itself is. He's not in Dinosaur Mode. He's not as big as MP Grimlock. He's a little smaller, maybe a leader class size figure is what I expect from. Is what I would stake him at. Maybe an old Ultra, like an old Beast Wars Ultra, about that size and mass here in Dino Mode. Inside the box, as I mentioned, we'll get to the combiner parts. You get a little GRIMSHELL sticker featuring the artwork on his box. A little bio card, again featuring the artwork, and then some stats and a couple pictures of the toy itself. The instructions, again featuring the art, and then all the steps, which actually do a pretty decent job of laying out his transformation. Also, you get his sword and rifle, which we'll show off lately, and then you get all the combiner bits. You get a little bag here with the his antenna for combined mode, and then some little, like, I'm pretty sure all these pieces are screw covers. Some of these I know are screw covers, and I think these little gold pips may be, I can't tell if these little gold pips are screw covers or, looks like they would be, or what, but they probably go up. Oh yeah, but I bet you they go up in here in the neck bits. Oh yeah, okay, I see where they're all going now. So you get some screw covers and the antenna and a little baggie. Also, the faceplate for combined mode came, at least with mine, came in this baggie. You can store it on the figure's head itself in all the transformed mode. So I just put it on there and left it on there so I didn't lose it. But the antenna, unfortunately, you do have to pop off. So yeah, you get a little baggie with that. You also get the combiner bits. You get the hands, which are some really cool articulated hands with the golden claws. Both kind of, he's got like Wolverine claws here, if you make the fist, as well as the golden tip fingers. And you get a piece of joint. There's a ball joint on the thumb, and then hinges at every other joint, both on the thumb, and he does have the hinges everywhere on the fingers as well. And the fingers are all individually articulated, so you can get him into some decent poses. And you get two of those. Those we can't really use yet. Those are designed to go on to their versions of Swoop and Slag when they come out. So we'll just kind of set those to the side for now. You get the feet, which have been redesigned. Like the original feet they showed off had wider toes, wider spacing between the toes, and kind of looked like chicken feet. I don't know if this was always the intent to redesign these, or if that was a result of fan feedback, but they are redesigned from the original prototype pictures. And they're kind of neat looking golden clawed feet. Again, there's a peg here. You can kind of see there's some thrusters underneath. A peg here underneath these. I'm not sure if these are intended to try and store on, I'm not sure what those pegs are for. I guess maybe you can peg them into Grimlock. I guess you could use them as armor for Grimlock when he's in robot mode. But I don't think they're intended to be carried on the Snarl and Sludge, just because. And they are geared to each foot. They ratchet out one way. There's an ankle swivel there. So you get a tilt and a rotational joint there on the foot. They come packaged with the pieces this way. And you can see there's 6 holes. You're only going to need 4 of them for combined mode. So the 4 sets of holes that actually stick up beyond the plate there, you want to rotate those so they're sitting toward the back of the foot. And that's going to be the orientation. We'll show that off later. And also you get this little piece right here, some missile launchers. This will also form part of the combined mode. And in Dino mode, you can take this, you can plug this onto his back right here if you want to give him some Dino-mounted missile launchers. Make him look like a Dino Rider. Also, there's 4 pegs on the underside of the rifle, so if you want to even arm him up even more, there's 4 holes here on the back of this. You can plug the rifle into Dinosaur mode and really just kind of arm him up for battle. If you want. You don't have to. You can set these off to the side. Also, the sword can peg in any of the peg holes available on his legs. That shows kind of his armored Dino mode. Like I said, I usually just set those off to the side in Dinosaur mode. So, onto the figure itself. Here he is in Dinosaur mode, and he's got an articulated head. It goes up and down. It does not rotate. He's got an opening jaw, and inside that jaw, he's got a posable golden dual cannon. It's kind of stuck down in the jaw right now, but you can flip that up to be facing further forward. There in robot mode. His legs remove. You've got clicky joints here at the knee, clicky joint at the hip. They've got a little bit of movement this way just due to the transformation. His tail does not waggle. I think Sludge is the only one so far that's had a tail waggle. But he does have ball joints here on his dinosaur shoulders. He's got hinges at the elbow. He's got individually articulate. He's got 3 claws, 2 on top, 1 on the bottom. Each one can move independently. And in what I think may be a first for Grimlock toys, he actually has wrist swivels here in Dinosaur mode, which gives him a little bit more articulation. I can't remember if the MP did. I don't think the MP had the wrist swivel. I know it had the elbow joint and the shoulder joint, but I don't think the Masterpiece had the wrist swivel. Here he is, in his standard, what I think of as cartoon Grimlock, based on the old Tyrannosaur design. You can get him, because he has that articulated neck, you can get him in more of a, how we generally assume T-Rexes move nowadays, in that more horizontal position. If you're super into your accurate dinosaurs. Personally, I just like using him like the cartoon. I think he's a little bit more stable in that configuration, just sitting on the shelf. Quick comparison with the other ToyWorld dinos. And you see there he is with Snarl. We'll back up here so we can get them all in. And with Sludge. Muddy or Roar and Muddy, as I should be referring to them as, since they are the ToyWorld versions. And those are their names. So yeah, scales really nicely with these guys. A little bigger. Now granted, Sludge I think, or Muddy I think could be bigger. I always feel like Muddy should have been bigger, or maybe even a little taller than Grimlock in Robot Mode. That doesn't happen here. But they look good together, and I'm looking forward to the last 2, so I can have all 5 of them together. But yeah, this is a pretty decent scale for him with these 2 dinosaurs. And now to transform him into robot mode. Come down here. You want to go just like on the old Grimlock toy. You kind of want to. This is on a hinge back here, and this has a little tab that sits in under here. So you kind of want to bring this forward up and pull the hinge up, and then that should untab this little slot here, and you can flip the dinosaur head back and over. You open up his chest. Again, this is all feeling very G1 at this point. So you bring this up, you unpeg all this right here, and bring this up. Then these gold pieces unpeg. Actually, you unpeg the chest plate here first. These sometimes they will come loose, but you can see these pieces have there's a peg right here that pegs into these. So you want to unhook these pieces right here. You want to straighten those out anyway for the next step. And then you bring these up, and these gold pieces come up to the side, just like this. And come here, you. Put those up here. And then you go ahead and flip his robot head out, just like that. Rotate these pieces up, and then again, this peg hole underneath this flap, you fold this down and peg this onto the chest here, just like that. Fold this up on the other side, peg this onto the chest up. Make sure that stays up. And once this is up, you bring the chest plate up. And again, these two pegs here, there's two pegs here on the front of this gold piece that are going to peg into some peg holes. Here you can kind of see on the back of the chest plate. So rotate the chest plate up and kind of got to line it up right. Get his head up so it has the room. And line those up and peg that in. So there's the upper body. Let's see if I can't raise this up a little bit. Give me a little bit more room to work with here. Rotate the arms down. Just like that. See his robot mode head. Now, this is, you can transform this. You open this up, you flip his fist out, rotate it, and close this cover. And then you can give him kind of a traditional, in the cartoon, you kind of saw his claws here. And most of the Grimlock toys have had, I think even the Masterpiece, I think they were fixed. Or you could fold, I guess you could fold them down over his hand. But you can leave the claws out if you want. That's absolutely an option. That's how it's been done, but it does tend to interfere sometimes with the weapons. In this case, they're designed in such a way that he can hold them with those claws out. But I've always felt it would be nice if these could fold away. And on this one, they actually do. You can, there's enough room in here. You can actually open these up, fold the claws all the way up inside the forearm, and then peg it all back together here. So you can get those out of the way if you want. I think it makes for a slightly better looking arm, especially since the claws are a little large to focus on the dinosaur mode, and they can't shrink like in the cartoon to just be kind of a couple little triangles. They're on his forearm. So I like to fold those up. You don't have to, but for my purposes, I'm doing it. And close that back up, snap that all together, and then you've got his forearms done. This whole assembly now can peg back on to the back. You can actually lift this whole assembly up. If you want his wings just a little higher in robot mode, this whole gray assembly can lift up and peg on a little higher up here. Because otherwise, well, I guess that makes it too high. Oh, that's actually for the combined mode to lift that up. But you can bring that up a little bit if you'd rather have his wings sit more behind his shoulders than behind his back. I'm also lifting that up will allow you to rotate this red piece here in a minute. Oh, I got something in my eye. Hold on a second. There we go. The legs, go ahead and unpeg the two tail halves, flip them up, rotate them, and again, there's a little tab here that's going to go into this slot on the tail. So rotate that up and around, just like that. Split the legs. You can see they come apart just like that. And at this point, these red pieces right here, these form his knees and will form the connector pegs for combined mode. We want to take these and rotate them down like this. And then that frees us up. You can take this piece, pull it out to the side, rotate it around, and then bring this up. You can see this peg right here is going to peg into the side of the leg there. And then just to make it extra secure, there's a little flap here that can be a pain. You lift that up, rotate it in, and then peg it into that joint right there. And that just locks it a little bit better than just these pegs up here. And same over here. Pull it out, rotate it. Or was it? Okay. So you pull it out, rotate. I think that may have been off camera. So we'll do it again on the other side properly. Pull it out. I guess you want to rotate this way. There we go. Bring it up. Peg this on to there. And then again, like I said, lift this peg tab up right here. Kind of have to get your fingernail under it. Yeah, come here. Come here, you peg. Use a sword tip here. So pop this peg up on the leg, rotate it down, snap it into that screw hole. And then the feet, untab and rotate around like this. Now there is another hinge there, and again, that's going to be used for the combined mode torso. So there are his legs, and there he is pretty much in robot mode. I'll go ahead and pull this back down, just to show it off. Tab that back in, tab everything together. Dino Head sits on his back. You can fold the arms however you want. Now this piece right here, this red piece does need to rotate for combined mode. I think it looks a little better too as a rear end if you flip it around. But you can leave that right where it is. I'll show you how it rotates when we go to the torso. But there is GRIMSHELL in robot mode. And some of the earlier pictures I saw of him, his shoulders looked too high. Like they sat a little high like the MP, like a little higher than normal. And that's because, again, for part of the transformation of the torso, these lift up. And you can do that. If you want to have them have higher shoulders, you can pull them out on this hinge and raise them up a bit like that if you want them to have really high sitting shoulders. And I'm not a real big fan of that, so I like to leave them about right there. But yeah, so there's his robot mode. And it's a really nice looking Grimlock. It's a good solid Grimlock. And I like the look of him. I like the design of him. Everything's pretty cool. Go ahead and get these positioned how I want them. Come here, you. I just like to fold those back. You can have them. You can put those however you want. But yeah, so in this mode, he's got a ball jointed neck, so he can look around. He's got universal shoulders. Nothing to do with Jean-Claude Van Damme or Dolph Lundgren. Bicep swivel, ratcheting elbows. He does have a wrist swivel. His fingers are all one piece, but he does have the thumb is fixed, but the fingers do move. Although again, the way the thumb is fixed, it does give you a good solid tab to have him hold his weapons. It's not like, what was I reviewing? I was reviewing something. Carry, where like you close his hands, but it doesn't really give you a solid peg hole. This gives you a solid peg hole. Even if you leave his fingers open, you can still peg his weapons in very securely, which is nice. So yeah, he's got a waist swivel here, which again, the waist swivel is locked in place by this right now. If we lift this up right here, I guess that's the other bonus of rotating this piece around for robot mode. That unlocks the wrist swivel, and you can hear it ratcheting there like that. Universal hips that ratchet very quickly back and forth. He's got a thigh swivel. He's got hinge knees, which are, well, very tight ratchets. And then he doesn't have an ankle tilt, a full ankle tilt per se, but he does have, he can rotate his toes a little bit there on that ball joint. And again, quick combiner or comparison here with the other two. Here he is with Muddy and Roar in robot mode. I think they look good together. Like I said, I do think Muddy should be a little taller overall in comparison with the other dinos, but he doesn't look bad. Like I said, Grimlock being a little bigger doesn't bother me so much. I meant to show him off as a comparison in Dino Mode with Legion Grimlock, but I guess we can get Legion Grimlock into robot mode here real quick and give you an idea, since I don't have any of my retail Transformers with me as a more size comparison. But there he is with the Legion Grimlock, just to give you an idea about how big he is. So I'll get these out of the way, and we will go on to torso mode. Oh, there we go, all the way back up. Get just another focus here on him. All right. Now for torso mode, go ahead and pull his weapons out here. We're going to need this piece right here. And this piece, before, to get it ready for torso mode, you take the missile launchers here, you fold them out to the side of this support piece, flip up these two tabs here on the side, like that, and then take these and rotate them down and around like this, so the kind of ventish looking pieces, you can see it's solid on top, and the little vent grooves are on the bottom. So you have configure that piece like that, and you're good to go. So we pop his chest open, fold his robot head back in, and then replug the chest back into place there. Fold his robot mode hands up. I thought it was possible. Oh yeah, you are going to be possible. You fold his robot mode hands up, and then these pieces rotate up and around. You can see this piece comes up, and there's a peg here that pegs into the back of his forearm, or the back of his bicep, I guess. And then, I guess his tricep, is that there? And then this piece comes up like this, I guess you do need to have those claws down. So I guess the folding up claws is for robot mode. So you basically collapse his arm up around his upper arm like that. And same over here. This up, fold his hand up, and then bring it up around on this armature. And fold these up like this. That plugs in right there. And then here's where you're going to lift this piece up, lift the shoulder up, and then this peg right here is going to peg in right here on the arm. So this peg, you lift it up so this peg pegs into here. Just like that. That'll lock those in place. And just like that. Rotate them around at the waist so the bigger waist piece comes to the front. Just like that. Now the dinosaur head, here's where we unpeg this and lift it up. The whole back assembly, not just this part, but this whole back assembly lifts up and pegs in up here. And then the dinosaur head comes up, folds down, it kind of sits in that groove there, and then the dinosaur head comes and sits down like that on his chest. Oh, come up a little higher here. And it just kind of sits there for right now. I lift up his combined mode head here out of the back of the neck and rotate it around to the front. Pull those back. And here's where this piece comes in. Now this piece has 2 peg holes right here, and then 2 pegs on each side on each of the flaps. And those are going to peg on, the 2 peg holes are going to come down and peg on either right here and right here. And the 2 peg holes on each flap peg into the top of the shoulders here. So it's going to lock this whole upper body together. You kind of just slide it down over his head. You kind of have to wiggle it to get it in the grooves. Line it up so you can, like I said, seeing in here to line up the pegs is a little bit of a pain. But you get that in there, peg it onto his torso tightly, and then peg it in to the tops of the shoulders like this. And that's his upper body there done. Now you can take those antennae that I mentioned earlier. I just take the 2 antennae out of the baggie. And then these peg onto either side of his head. You kind of got to push them in a little bit. They don't go in deep. They are prone to pop off if you knock them. And I feel like that's just the material of the chrome, but you can put those on either side of his head there. And the legs, we're going to kind of halfway reverse transform them into dinosaur mode. You want to lift this up. Again, fold this down flat over here. Try not to peg. I try not to peg it in just because it makes it a whole lot easier to get it back out, but it's a little tight rotating it. We'll rotate that. Rotate these around like this. However, get them around like that. Then you raise them back up to where they were in dinosaur mode. You leave the tail up, and so now you see the knee piece here. Then this piece does rotate back out. And instead of pegging into the screw hole, it pegs into this little peg hole right in the middle of the black piece here. So just peg it in like that. And that's going to lock those together. And then the foot, as I mentioned earlier, you pull it all the way out on this hinge, bring it around to the side, and then it pegs on right here on the side of the leg. Just like that. And same with this leg over here. Unpeg that, put this up, pull it out, rotate it like this, bring it all the way up. Let me see, rotate this peg out, rotate it down, peg it in right there, and then bring this around and peg it onto the side. And there is his torso mode for the combined mode. Now give me just a second, let me get the other dinos into their limb configurations, and I'll show you how to assemble this guy into his combined mode. Oh, also before we do that, the face, like right now he's got the kind of standard Grimlock face with the faceplate. See if we can get maybe a little bit more light on that. There we go. And you can kind of, you can get underneath there. It's just a separate piece. Oh, see if we pop that antenna off. Well, I guess I popped that antenna off. You had nothing to do with it. I'm sorry for blaming you. But it just got a couple little pegs on either side of his face. Come on, pop it off. There we go. And underneath that, he's got, I'm going to put his antenna back on here. There's the little faceplate piece, like right there. It's got 2 pegs on either side that peg, or it's got just 2 little tabs that peg in. And underneath that, he's got a an angry mouth. Angry mouth. I was kind of hoping maybe there'd be a little lever on the back of his head to make the jaw kind of do a, you know, Fire Marshal Bill, or, you know, evil laugh. But he does have a more ferocious mouth there under the faceplate. And to put the faceplate back on, you just line it up and push the tabs in. And it stays on very securely right there. All right, 1 sec, and we'll show off the combined mode. Let me see if I can get him to stand like this while I transform it. There we go, maybe that'll work. All right, so here we go. I got everybody back in their limb modes, which is basically, let me move him out of the way here, is basically their dinosaur modes balled up. You do have to remove Roar's tail for this. Maybe there'll be a place to store it. Maybe it will combine into something in combined mode. Maybe there'll be a place to use it. But for right now, from what I understand, you just have to kind of ball up their dinosaur modes. Remove his tail, and then just kind of fold up the legs and everything. And then these peg in to, actually this is the way he goes as a leg. And then you take the feet, and these are designed to be, these pegs up here on top look very similar in size, but they are slightly different. The pegs on Muddy are a little smaller than the ones on, or pegs on Roar are a little smaller than the ones on Muddy. So you do want Roar to be the right leg and Muddy to be the left foot. So make sure you get the appropriate foot piece here. And bring this down just a little bit here. And these peg on, and again, when we first saw these and saw that these were little just peg connections, there was some concern. I know everyone was like, how is that going to work? And the thing is, like, with these, they actually hold pretty well. You got to kind of fold these up out of the way here. But you just peg these into the back 4 holes like I was mentioning earlier. I was worried about that too until I got the ThottleBot combiner, and the arms peg in much the same way. And so you just kind of, okay, maybe that needs to be folded up like that. I don't know. But so you push those in and get them pegged on to those. And now you can see now it rotates, swivels, and it actually holds very well. I'm not supporting it. I'm not pushing them together in any way. He locks on like that. Same with Muddy over here. You just peg him in to it's a little easier with him because he doesn't have that little peg hole. Push him down onto his peg, and there they are in leg mode. At which point, you might want to rotate these in a click. But you just take them, and then you take these peg holes. And again, like I said, these peg holes are a little smaller, so you want to make sure he goes onto the right leg here. And these just peg into the top of the dinosaur mode. Now this is where it gets a little tricky because you do kind of have to use some force to get them to peg in all the way. But it tends to unlock a few things. But once you get those locked in, they stay pretty well. Okay, so we do have to spread his legs out a little bit. And there is, like I said, there is that interior, there's a little bit of a angular joint in there so you don't have to put him in such a wide stance to get him to stand up straight. So we plug these in here. Push those in here, and once those are on nice and tight, so something, there we go, and we'll pull out and show you the hole. There we go. Now he's standing flat and big. And then when you do that, there is the core body of the combiner. He's quite tall. Bigger than most combiners. I think he may even be a little bigger than the ThottleBot combiner, which was already pretty massive. Obviously, he looks a little weird here because he's missing his arms, which would, give him his claw. He'd probably sit around here with the claw hands. And then just as a quick size comparison, again, with something that's not out yet, but here he is with Warden from Unique Toys. And you can see he's even bigger than him. Let's see if I can get the colors a little better here. There we go. Get my hand in there, helps the white balance a little bit and that stuff. So he's quite a large combiner, and he'll look even better with the arms on. And speaking of the arms, one of the things that I think is neat is the combiner ports are here on the shoulder of the Dinosaur Mode, way up here at the top of the video. Let's focus again. But they're covered by these little flaps. There actually are some port covers, so they're not as obvious in his other modes when you're not using them. But you lift that up, and right there is the combiner port for the arm. But yeah, I think he's gonna, like I said, I think he's gonna look pretty cool as a combiner, all said and done. But again, get that white balance there. If you don't like dinosaurs as a combiner, you don't want to use your Dinobots as a combiner. I think so far, unless they really screw the pooch with the next two, GRIMSHELL especially is a great version of Grimlock. But I think they're all fun G1-esque updated Dinobots. So I do, like I said, I do recommend. ToyWorld's been putting out a lot of really good stuff lately, and I hope they start getting a little bit more attention, because I think they've really stepped up their game and put out some really neat stuff. And GRIMSHELL is just another one of those. I think he's great. So whether you care for the combined mode or not, I do recommend their Dinobots. They're fun. So yeah, there is GRIMSHELL from ToyWorld.